Gentlemen, please welcome a awesome and wonderful spirit who has came on My Celebrity Life with Ge Holla, Madam Kellie Bowman. Welcome to the show. How you doing this afternoon?
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
I started this organization or this program called Is It Justice or Just Us? And it's basically looking at the scope of how we are sentenced in the criminal justice system versus our white counterparts for the same crimes. And my background is I worked with Youth Challenge program, Youth Challenge for almost 10 years. I was over the education department. I got a son that got incarcerated about 10 years ago. And I kind of paid a close attention after that to the sentencing that these young men are getting. And then you see the white counterparts get probation, first time offenders, programs that the judges have available, but those aren't offered to many minority. I can't remember this judge specifically in Augusta. I think it's Dean or something like that. He has this program for youth, and there's about 13 boys in there, and there's one black kid out of 13. So that's my whole plight, to try to do this documentary, to get the exposure out there, to get stories, to tell real life stories, and try to, not just look at who we put in office, but if we know that things are unbalanced, certainly they're unbalanced in our criminal justice system. And it's, sending young black men to 20 and 30 years, at the age of 16, which is ridiculous, So that's kind of the program that I'm trying to get going and get a momentum on. You still there, G? Okay. Could you hear me, Ms. Bowman?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So thank you, G, for that opportunity to share that with Ms. Bowman.
Well, I appreciate it. I think you're doing something wonderful. Right now is a very challenging time, and to stand up for justice is important, because there are injustices here in the United States. There are injustices all over the world, but when it is close to home, it's that personal challenge that some of us have the courage to just, stand up and do what we can for our community. Right. And it's very difficult to have that, be at your backyard, but it exists. And to do something about it is very important. I think I come from a man who found the same thing important. Having the courage to do that shows your children that you're interested in being courageous when things are hard. Right. And so for that, it's a selfless act. And I really appreciate you sharing that with me.
Thank you. Thank you. So is G still here, or is it just me and you?
I don't know.
Is it still showing 3 participants?
Okay, I'm here. Sorry, okay. This internet is acting up. It's like raining outside, so I do apologize. Okay, all right, cool. All right, so Ms. Bowman, we want to get into a little bit of your story so we can get started here. For the people that don't know, could you please tell us about your background and who was this iconic and revolutionary and legendary father that you had growing up?
Well, my name is Kellie Bowman, and my father is Alfredo Dorrington Bowman, and he's better known as Dr. Sebi.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a very iconic figure. What was life like growing up for you? Did you discover early that the things that you all were eating was toxic in nature? What was your understanding about nutrition when it came to putting alive food in to live longer, so to speak?
Well, we grew up on live food. We didn't know anything different until we talked to the neighbors next door. So one of the things that's important right now is that the particular thing that stands out with my upbringing with my father is that he got so excited about sharing the vegetables that he grew in Compton, California. He had his own garden. And so we were little. And so we're thinking, how wonderful, only because our father was so excited about sharing what he grew in the garden. And so the celebrities of the garden is something I've always known. And that's always made me happy. And it's just like, at the point of growing up, you found worth in your food when you know it early on. But I gotta say, that's not always the story for all communities. I happen to be in a very unique family. And so with that being said, it's just, you know, something that I've learned to appreciate, because it's easy to share with friends about what it is that you grew up doing, and you can see the difference between how you were raised and someone else. But having foods from all over the world that were very good for you was just normal. But then as you get to a teenage age, you know, you try some things that don't work out and you know better. But the best part is that we grew up knowing better. And I appreciate that. So when he would get excited about what he grew in the garden, it became my celebrity of the garden, which I now put on my Instagram and on my website, because I always found it to be tickling when I think about how excited I was over a zucchini.
That's awesome.
You know, that's a beautiful thing, because like you said, it is true. Unfortunately, in a house right next door, someone grew up on McDonald's and its fries, you know, the fries that don't never die. You can leave, as you know, you can leave a fry in your car and find it 5 years later and throw it in the microwave and still eat it. Possibly, right. You know, there's something wrong with that, but we don't know that, because the education isn't true wealth, health. Like, I wouldn't want to be in a body sick for like 60 years. What kind of torment is that? And we can easily change it by changing our diets.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I appreciate that you said that, because our diets are here to heal, but we've been using them to hurt. I say in our communities, we see a lot of gun shootings and we see a lot of things that happen. But here's something else that you didn't think about. Some of us use food in the way of a gun. See, you don't need a gun to kill yourself. You're using food the same way, slowly. We attend these funerals, and our loved ones die of a heart attack, die of diabetes and hypertension. And we say, oh, you know, he died of some form of, you know, disease, but oh, you know, we knew he had that, but were we interested in how he didn't have to? Because some of us die by default because of a lack of education. So Sebi's daughters wanted to, you know, jump in the game still when it came to nutrition, because although my dear father has died, he walks with me through my education. I come to you from a family who loves to educate. So Sebi's Daughters, LLC, is here to stay and here to continue to talk about those things that matter, because the younger generation here in Nipsey Hussle is asking, well, who is this guy, Dr. Sebi? I had to listen to the rap. I'm like, hold on. You gotta get me started. You gotta help me understand. So education is so important, because no one should die by default.
Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. And you're right. A lot of times we say, oh, it runs in my family. No, your bad eating runs in your family. If you're feeding people the same stuff you're dying from, it's going to, of course, be hereditary. You know, we don't even know what's in these processed foods. And some people think, because you don't go to a fast food restaurant, like a Burger King, for example, but you may end up going to, like in the South, we have like Kroger's and Walmart's, but you're not eating real food. It's processed sugars, all these chemicals that's thrown in this stuff, saturated fat that they claim they don't have. And we recently learned that with the USDA and the FDA, long as you have 30% of less of something in these items in this food, it can be advertised and marketed to you as 0%.
Wow, that's crazy.
But I think the real trick is we call it food. Look at the war between GMO and organic. Are we really clear on what happened?
We're not. Most people don't even know what GMO stands for.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you can also look, anytime you go someplace, let's use these places you mentioned, McDonald's, perfectly, right? You know, it costs more for a salad than it does for their burgers, fries, and drink. So healthy food which should be the cheapest thing there, because it's just lettuce, it's just fruit, you know. But you know, like fruit cups, The healthy stuff, you can see they jack the price extremely high in those kind of establishments because they want us to buy that junk.
Well, here's the thought. We either pay on the front end or we will pay on the back end.
Yes.
That's the horrible, truth about it. The truisms are going to still be the same. Here's the facts, that nature was here first. We are literally in critical times, hard to deal with. And if we don't really listen to the hard truth about our food intake and what we consider food, because what we are eating is not food. We call it food. Food is designed to fuel the body. Nutrition is important. So if you're not mineralizing and we're overweight, but we have a lack of nutrition in our diet, there's something wrong. So the conversations have to be ongoing. What I find important is to have these kind of conversations. We've gone through the quarantine, and how many friends do you know have gained that quarantine weight? Well, what were they eating? So a lot of anxiety has come from what we've eaten and some areas that we don't know about. But what was important during this time for Sebi's daughters is we decided to not only meet the challenge of, with our elderberry. Our elderberry is one of our hottest products. Why is that? Because we all have a lack of iron. But how do you receive iron? You got to have a large amount of vitamin C, my father told me. So the elderberry has been used so that you can accept what you need, that iron in whatever you're eating. Because I'm telling you, not every vegetable and fruit is created equal. We have an indigenous food list on our website so that you can tie into it. We have ways of cooking it, but we have to keep having these conversations. But that anxiety of the world has come about, and boy, do we need some positive support. So being on the positive side of humanity right now is so vital.
Yes, you're right. That's right. And I like what you said. All foods are not created equal. A lot of this, Rufus, unfortunately, even with McDonald's, a lot of this salad that we're eating, some of this stuff is made of plastic. You can literally take it, and in certain cases, people have burnt it. People have stored it in different places. And when it biodegrades down, it either turns into some type of sugar or some type of plastic. And once you get plastic in your body, in your veins, it's hard to lose weight. And it's hard also to dispel the plastic. I think Ms. Bowman, you correct me. I think there's certain herbs you can take that will help dissolve that plastic out of your body. That's why people are getting so much clogged arteries, is because it's not natural, like you're saying, to be in your body at all. When we study how these foods are being processed, especially in certain countries, not to name a few, they are sending the food back to us. The same way we send them advanced technology, they're sending us crap back into our culture.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we need education.
Yes.
So what's beautiful about that is that I like that we're having a conversation right now, because it took me a whole year I wanted to use my time wisely. I didn't want to just open a store. So we decided not only were we going to deal with the inside, we wanted to have something that was an anxiety reducer in a store. So we have turned, not just created a store, but we wanted to have, the legacy of Sebi behind it. So we turned our store into a rainforest where you come in and de-escalate, because sometimes first you have to feel that this is for you. See, I can tell you a lot of things, but you'll always remember how I made you feel. And when you eat better, you know how you feel. How about you go on vacation somewhere to go to nature because it makes you feel good? You leave your home to experience this nature. Well, I brought it to you in a store. I thought, one of the things that was important when I walked with my father is that we walked in nature. We talked about nature. So we want to get together and keep that conversation going, because you can't leave it out right now. It is now in your face. It is important. So having that processed diet, we know for definite it did not help you. Your diet failed. It failed. But we do have solutions. So that's why it's important that we continue to have these conversations, because one day I may be, I may die, and this information still needs to go. My father has died, and what were we left with? Tools. So I want to keep these tools going. Sebi's daughters, my daughter is my next generation of this legacy. So if I'm not careful, this may just stay with me. I say all of us need to talk about it in all communities. I hope there's a herbalist on every corner selling something that ties into what we need from the earth.
Yes, thank you so much. You're absolutely right. And speaking of education and what we need to talk about, I like to educate a lot of my younger viewers on the history of your father. And a couple of instances, I remember seeing his video on YouTube as he spoke about being called before Congress in the 80s because he was saying that he had the cure for AIDS. Can you tie that in for us? Because there's a lot of misconceptions where people don't know about that case. Can you tell us a little something about that?
I was a young teen when this happened. And boy, oh boy, my mother calls me and out the room, she goes, your father's been arrested. It's time, you got to go to New York. So 1987 was a heavy year, but he knew this would happen. But why would a man who was not tied into the truth make such a statement and go before the New York court system? Well, it had to have done something for him that would make him move in this direction. What happened was he was a sick man coming from Honduras, and he had different ailments, diabetes, he had hypertension, he had issues. He was introduced to this lovely man who was an herbalist in Mexico who changed his way of thinking. And when he got better, when he was able to balance his body, he wanted that intracellular cleansing for everybody. So he did his work. He got what he needed to offer to the communities. But first he gave it to his children. So we were guinea pigs growing up. And we're all still alive, so it must work. But the interesting part was when he went before the courts, and we have a Dr. Sebi exhibit in Atlanta. I'm opening that on August 6th. August 7th is the grand opening of my store. But August 6th, you'll be able to see the story of how Dr. Sebi was born. He came from Alfredo Dorrington Bowman all the way to Dr. Sebi. And it was because of that court case that gave him the validity to keep going in what he did. So when people talk about that court case, why would a man bring so many people to say something that was not honest? Because it healed him first. And I have to say that that was a lot of courage. And I appreciated knowing that my father stood for something and would not back down because he knew it was the truth. So always make the truth your own. Stand up on your feet. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today talking about this.
And you're absolutely right. Even from my personal story, dealing with certain diseases or diseases, I followed a lot of his regimen, when I discovered him. And he was absolutely right. I always knew this in the back of my mind. When they tell you or they say you have something, it's like the power of the mind too. They tell you have hypertension. Really, like you're saying, you don't. You have a bad diet. You have to relieve yourself, detox yourself. First, we have to do it mentally, like you're talking about with education. And first know that just because a man with a white coat and he went to school or whatever, he or she went to school, does not dictate they know everything about medicine. Because what we say in America, they're practicing medicine. So they probably have killed some people along the way to get the cures or the pills that they're giving you. And like you also said, with education, I discovered too as well that a lot of this medicine that they're using other people's plasma to create. I saw they were using horse urine. They were using prenatal urine to put into all of this medicine. And now no wonder we got 1,000 side effects with 1,000 lawsuits right after all of that. And you're absolutely right. We need to hit up your organization. We need to tie into the place that you're opening up in Atlanta so we can discover who we are and find some true healing back on the planet. So I thank you for that. You are a hero too, as well, because you have the courage, because you know these people are going to come at you by any means necessary, but yet you're standing like the warrior, like the lioness that you are, still for the people to help them. So we would definitely have to give you your flowers today and tell you thank you too.
Amen.
I appreciate you. One thing that was really great that you said was that, we all need to tie in. When I was a young girl, I only knew the herbal way. And I was like, Poppy, I'm gonna go to school because we have a lot of blood work. I don't know what that is. And so when I became a nurse, I wanted to see, because I didn't feel like I was walking in my truth unless I knew both sides. I needed to know both languages. And so it has been a pleasure to get to know that language of medicine and why it was necessary. But when you walked in that door to that doctor, you walked in with that mucus forming diet. So here's the thing, you ain't got to go there. Here's the thought: if you eat those foods that, what's his name, Rufus, is that your name?
Yes.
That Rufus and we've been talking about. If we eat the things that, out here that cause this processed food, do we have to go? So you know that you're going to meet a pill when you get there. So how about if we learn, if we just love our bodies, if we just do that introspection? What if? I'm standing here today to tell you it's possible. And there's no judgment. All of us, we're forever learners. And so with that being said, I just, I really appreciate being on with you two men, because men, I really love you, but you're the last ones to go to the doctor and the last ones to say if something's wrong.
Not this one, not anymore. Once you get sick once, you change that. You change that mentality. When I get a cough, I'm like, oh, I got to make a doctor's appointment. So, no, that was the young Rufus. The mature, the older one, it's like, yo, you check out everything. But G, you made a very astute statement, and it probably went over most people's head, and it's all on their office. It's a practice. So you can't sue me. It's a practice. I'm trying. I'm going through this regimen. And when I was diagnosed with the illness I had, it's a rare disease called retroperitoneal fibrosis. Okay. So it's like 1 out of 700,000 men get it for some other reason, whatever. So what is basically, it's a, what do you call it? Tissue growing out of control that is encased my aorta and et cetera throughout the body, right? So it took them 8 months, me going back and forth to the hospital, going to see different doctors, et cetera, to even figure out where all the pain was coming from.
Man. I think you went on mute. Somebody probably called you. Okay. To figure out where all the pain was coming from. That's where you stopped at.
Right. Where all the pain was coming from. So what happened was, because I was going to a massage therapist, because it was back pain. And what we found out is the tissue was growing out of control, which caused blood flow not to go to the muscles in the back and certain things, right? So when blood flow doesn't go to those muscles, oh my God.
The pain.
Woo, my gosh. You talking about some, and at first they was like, because I'm a Black man, they
thought it was your heart.
He's down here for drugs. He's trying to get some drugs. We don't, these are other physicians that was telling my doctor, and I was like, sir, I make $500,000 a year. If there was any drug I want, I can buy on the street without coming to see you. He say, I know, but that's how, if it's not anything obvious, that's the first resolution they come to minorities, that you're just trying to get some drugs. You just need some pain pills because we can't figure out where the pain's coming from. So long story short, I agree with you. It is a practice. A lot of times they don't know unless there's been cases that have been documented that are exactly like yours, but everybody is unique and different.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that is not a tell-all, so I agree. It's some great information you have, definitely, that your dad put you on a great path, seriously.
I appreciate you. Hey, you're right. Now, also, I like where you left. I'm going to pick up where you left off at, because there is a very popular person on YouTube, Ms. Bowman, who has said some rather disparaging marks about your father by saying that he was not a doctor. And thank God for people like Lord Jamar, who came back at him to give him some education. Now, color disparity, it's our people on the other side of the spectrum, the non-Black, non-brown. I would like for you to talk to them too, because you also went through medical training. And this is my personal belief, Ms. Bowman. I believe that you don't have to go through Western man's educational system to be quote unquote a doctor. My grandmother told me a long time ago, you are your first doctor to yourself. You know and understand, like Rufus is saying, when there's something wrong with your body, where you're not looking for medicine, because a lot of us Black men in America, we don't like taking pills. I'm going to throw myself in that. We don't go to the doctor as much as we should. But more specifically for your father, you can be a doctor. This is just my spiritual wisdom understanding. I don't have to, quote unquote, have a degree from a university or go through an educational system to understand that I have a connection to herbs and ancient wisdom that cannot be quantified on the planet. And even in every holy textbook that there is, there's still a level of language that we are connected to our God or our creator without a man-made system. And yes, we should let people know I did not go through a traditional standard, but I understand medicine and herbs when it comes to me, and I'm able to help heal you or help work through. Now, it does not mean that you don't go see a traditional doctor, but however, there's some things I can provide to you that can enhance your life, if you don't mind talking about that. I know it's a long question, so basically the question is, you don't have to be westernized through their education system and their system period to call yourself or refer to yourself as being a doctor.
Well, he didn't make that term up. He didn't call himself Dr. Sebi. It was actually a name that he was given by someone because he had healed a man in Africa. And that name was given to him because of what you're talking about now. He had a third grade education, my father. But I just want to say this about what we know about ourselves individually. If he had not done the work on himself, we would not be talking about him today. And if he had a third grade education and he was able to ascertain all of this information, everything that we're talking about right now, it doesn't, let me tell you something. I went to school to be a nurse. He laughed at me. I laughed at him too. But the thing was, he still knew more than me. I have met quite a few doctors who are now clients because a doctor is not a nutritionist. So he cannot tell you what foods to eat. He can give you that pill. His service is to tell you something, to give you his summation of what he thinks he can do for you. But that is the level in which he operates. But he cannot give you anything but that food pyramid. So it's funny how a doctor does not go hand in hand with your food. So why is that? Well, here's my thought also. Here's a little side story. So I remember looking at this story in the news, and this woman, she drove from she worked for NASA. Now, she had quite a few degrees. She drove from NASA all the way to Florida from I guess she was working in California or Texas, but she worked for NASA and she drove all the way to Florida. Now, this woman is highly educated with some rope in her trunk and some other items because, and she was wearing a diaper because she was headed to, I think she was going to maybe accost the woman who was sleeping with her boyfriend or her husband, something like that. Now, this is a college educated woman, a doctor in her field. So you're telling me that only smart people make smart decisions and they know it all. Why is this woman driving across the country, trying to get this other woman? So common sense is not very common, is what I'm going to say. And I found that story interesting only because what took this woman out of her intelligent status to go there? So it has nothing. I say that long story, and it's kind of a silly story, but to say that not everyone knows everything, but God. Jah is everything. This earth was here prior to all of us, and this grass still grows green. So for me, even the cracks in the ground, you can put cement down, the grass is going to grow between the cracks. So I say nature, I will continue to be nature's hero. I will continue to speak up for nature's way because it's necessary. So I would like us to think about partnering with each other instead of trying to find the big divide. The big divide doesn't answer these mysterious questions, which are actually mysterious. They're just truths that you want to cover up.
That's right.
So I like the truth. I like to stay in the truth, and that's what I represent. That's what I have, and that's what I like. And I think I want to keep liking it as long as I live for our communities everywhere.
Awesome.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Now, if I may tap into a brief period of conspiracies, which I thought the case of, and I don't want to really take you back to this point, but I do want to ask you this. Your father, can you tell us what happened to him in his final days? Because that has a level of obscurity where a lot of people feel like there was some governmental influence of, you know, of him transcending this earth. So could you talk to us about his final days, if you're familiar, or even if you're comfortable enough to speak about it? What happened to him in his final days?
Well, I appreciate the question because a lot of people want to know. It's a very uncomfortable conversation for me. The day he died was very difficult because we were here in America and we got phone calls from Honduras letting us know what had happened, because he was incarcerated at the time of his death. And what happened the actual day he died to when they had him in the ambulance and they were taking him to a hospital. That part there, I don't know. And why I say I don't know is because I've heard quite a few stories of what happened to my father, but here's what I'm left with. I want to believe that there wasn't a conspiracy. I want to believe that there wasn't something that happened, that someone stepped in to kill my father. But here's the truth about the world. We are in critical times and you can't say that that didn't happen. I can't give you this is not a black and white thing. So I really can't tell you what happened. And all of the stories that I've heard still won't bring him back. He was my first best friend. And out of all the girls, I had the nerve to look like him. I don't know why. I don't know why, you know, I have the face of this man, but I tell you what, my first best friend left us with such a wide amount of education about health. And I want to know, even to this day, that I'm going to continue talking about it because I will see him again. And so for right now, with all that we know about that, I say what good came from this? What is my piece in it? My piece is he left me with enough tools as a parent to go forth and do good. And sometimes we just have to resolve ourselves that I may not ever know the answer. I may not ever accept the answer. What I will accept is the journey.
Yes, I love that. And speaking of the journey, picking up from there, is it still true, Nick Cannon? Because they said Nipsey Hussle, Neighborhood Nip, he was working on a documentary. I saw that on the Breakfast Club. And then Nick Cannon said he was going to step in and create some type of movie or a documentary. Now, is that still in play, in the works?
Well, I think he's still finishing it. I think he's had a couple of children recently. And, this quarantine time has changed a lot for the world. We're having to be more adjustable and more patient with things. But I say this about Nick Cannon taking over the story. It's very nice to meet him. Very nice young gentleman that when he's ready and he has everything he feels he's going to move forward with, I'm sure it's going to be great. But yes, there is talks. My nephew, Isaiah, knows him very well. And we're hoping as a family that it portrays everything that we know about him in a really positive light, because there's so much education behind him. And that's why the Dr. Sebi exhibit I put together are things that you won't see on the computer or on Google. This is an intimate look at who our family is. This Honduran experience is awesome. It's just so awesome, awe-inspiring, aspirations, inspirations. It's filled with goodness just for you. But inside of the Honduran experience, when you go into the Dr. Sebi exhibit, it's to educate you on who this man is. And I really appreciated doing the documentary with Nick Cannon. It was very special because we got to talk as a family. And my big brother, Alfredo Jr., we talked a lot about it, and me and my nephew and him, and we're grateful that he's doing it.
Awesome.
Absolutely, I am too, because like you're saying, we need to get that Honduras experience, that Dr. Sebi, that Kellie Bowman. We need all of that collectiveness to go into our consciousness to help elevate us and keep us moving forward. May I also ask about the village that was in Honduras? Is that still available to travel to? What's the condition of the village that was in Honduras?
Yes, my sister is there, and it is still open. When all of this happened in 2016, my goal was to do the best I can here in America. A lot of us in all of our communities are not able to get to Honduras, but some are, and right now even less because of what's going on in the world. But my goal with the Honduran experience was to bring that rainforest to you. So you can visit that same feeling, that same comfort, that de-escalation, all of that here. However, it is still there, and clients do go. But for me, I have yet to visit there since his death. I'm not ready for that, but my sister, she knows, and she's okay with it. I'm one of Sebi's oldest daughters, and it's something. That walk at the village is very exciting for those who visit, but for Kellie Bowman, it's still kind of hard.
I understand. I understand. We have, I just want to tell you, we have a beautiful reminder by seeing your face, your beautiful, wonderful, melanated face. You are definitely just going to be the new experience. And I just invite anyone to go to the Honduras experience, because your vibe and your spirit and your soul is so pure. And I find it amazing that you wore white today, which is the sign of purity. And you are definitely going to be our angel and our guide while we are here. And you are the perfect embodiment of everything we need right now. You have Western and Eastern knowledge inside of you, so no one can ever try to discredit your knowledge and what you know. And I love that about you, because now you can pull the people who are in the traditional mindset and the untraditional mindset, so to speak. The East and the West kind of meet together collectively. And that's a beautiful thing. Now we have the Honduras experience, which is right in our backyards, because I live in Atlanta and I live in Augusta, so it's nothing for me to come up, which I am going to do. I would love to document that experience. Do you allow for people to come in and take pictures and blog on it and things of that nature in the media?
August 7th, you better come on down. I'm telling you, it's an experience you won't forget. It's not like any other store, any other feeling you've ever had before, because I think we come from a unique family. I wanted to offer you what piece and gift that I have for you and in the community. I'm offering this gift to you. So I can't wait to see you. Come on down. We're gonna have a good time.
I know I'm having a good time now. You're making you healing my soul right now just by your energy.
I mean, she got the rainforest in my mind. I'm thinking, like, is this like Disney World where they got the forest and all the stuff and the water coming down? You know what I mean? So I'm emotionally excited to see you, and I applaud you. That's an awesome journey, and our people definitely need the knowledge of health, with food, because back our ancestors, only ate what they were given, and that was available. They couldn't just eat what their choice was or move freely. But we've grown up on that system, and someone needs to change it going forward, because it's killing our people.
Yeah, because it wasn't your food. Right. This wasn't your home. And so what foods did we eat? What foods did we leave behind? Right. What will strengthen our body? Those were the things that my father talked about with me when I was little. He says, you may be here in this land, but this is not where your people originated from. And I want to introduce you to foods that are from where you are from. Your story didn't start here, sir. You came from a beautiful place. And I like to offer that to you, that we are here in America, and this is a beautiful place if we want to be in that mindset. Exactly. But you come from an extraordinary place, and it's filled with good foods for you, and you can find them here now. And I want to introduce you to them. Yeah, the celebrities of the garden. I'm gonna introduce you.
awesome.
Oh,
That is awesome.
I love that. And even your date of the opening comes with some type of divine synchronicity, because if we don't know, we all know about the number 7 is a very divine number in nature and also in religion, spirituality. And I love the fact that you're opening it on the 7th. That's really, really, really cool. I appreciate that.
Well, the pre-celebration starts on the 6th. We're having a private pre-celebration with the family and friends with 9-time Grammy winner Tank. And we're going to have a private moment.
You got any VIP passes for that? Hey,
G, caught me last week. I would have had you last week.
She said private and family. I was like, bump that, boy. I'm about to go for it right now on the air. No, but that's awesome. I wish you guys the best. I'm excited for you. I know your dad is elated about how you are keeping his dream, his vision alive. And it's so powerful that you accepted his spirit and the challenge that you did. That is awesome. And I applaud you. That's awesome. Seriously.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Kellie Bowman, is there anything else that you want to discuss that you have on your mind that I may have missed having this wonderful dialogue with you? I'll let you do that uninterrupted and let us know any plans or anything that you want to talk about. Give you a few minutes to, clear your heart.
All right. Well, with the grand opening, Sebi's daughters flourished. All my thanks goes to Ge that we flourished during this quarantine. And so our elderberry was one of our biggest sellers. We can't keep it on the shelves. It was a secret my father taught me how to prepare. And we also did some wonderful things, some other products that we have, but I'm launching something on the 7th that's really cool. And it's a wellness popsicle, and there's a couple of different varieties of flavors. And my daughter and I, we were sitting, we have some shea butters, but we wanted one to smell like candy because, she's 15. And so, so we've been busy during this time. This, I call it an incubation time, like a butterfly. So now that, we have the store that's opening, we have these new products that are coming, and we have a weight loss popsicle. We have so many good things, and all of them are filled with sea moss. My father talked a lot about sea moss, so his daughter Kelly decided she was going to put it into soap, lip balm, you name it. Now popsicles and body butters. So we have done a lot to keep working with the community. I answered the phone, and the community has spoken. They asked me for it. So we have the Honduran experience. We have the Dr. Sebi exhibit, and we have these new products that we're launching on that day. So, I have a lot for the community, and it's my pleasure.
Well, we thank you for that too. A couple more questions before I let you go. Thank you for indulging and kicking it with us almost an hour. You really are amazing and dope soul. If you could, I could play a game of 7s with you. Kellie Bowman, I want to get inside of your deep spiritual, intellectual, educational mind. If there was, I know it's many, but if you were in a rush to grab 7 items or 7 herbs, which 7 herbs would you bring with you during this pandemic? Some people call it a plandemic. I just want to know, what 7 items would you grab to help ensure that your health is right, your anxiety is low, your skin is still shining, your teeth are wonderfully, magically white, your hair is awesome and amazingly melanated? What 7 items would you take with you if we had to, per se, get into like a bomb shelter or isolate ourselves? But you only got so much time to grab 7 items. Which 7 items would you grab?
Okay, 7 items, then that includes herbs?
Yes.
Or all herbs?
Everything. All herbs.
Okay.
Okay, you got
it. Okay. So I'm going to grab my sea moss. I'm going to grab my sea moss soap. I'm going to grab my elderberry. I'm going to grab my purity tea that has burdock, yellow root, and also guaco. I'm going to take those. I got one more. So let's see. What else? Those are everything that I need. I only need to think.
Okay.
Okay. Come on, Kellie. I can't grab 7. Those are all I need.
Okay, that's all right. Well, what about water? Just take some water, would you?
Oh, and we have our own line of water. I actually tap I have my own water line. We tap from in Georgia, the Tennessee. I have Tennessee spring water of mine, and I bring my water. But I wasn't an herb. I didn't think I could. I need more water.
I think you got something to chase it with. But
that's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you to Ms. Rufus. And what you said is ideal, functional. So ladies and gentlemen, if you missed any of that, make sure you hit the rewind button, because she's giving you 7 critical things if you only have time or even not enough money to purchase. Start off with those 7 things first, because learning about herbs and all these natural medicines, it is a daunting task for some people because it's so much. It's so many videos, that people have to cut through the noise. And thank you for slimming some of that down so we can have an understanding of what is really vital, what is really necessary, even if you can or cannot afford certain things. Because like your whole life you've been learning about these things, and some people may be starting today or tomorrow, and they could be very confused. Because I heard a lot of people say like they would buy the Dr. Sebi products and other holistic doctors products, but there were like no video tutorials. Because believe it or not, YouTube is its own university. People come on there for it teaches you anything, how to brush your teeth, down to fixing a car, to building a house. And thank you for adding that flavor in there to cut some of that down to give them an understanding.
Thank you.
All right. Couple more things before I let you go. I definitely got to give you your flowers today. I do apologize about earlier because I did miss some of it because my connection was going in and out. Mr. Rufus, did you get a chance to talk to her about the documentary and film that you wanted to produce?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, Miss Kellie Bowman, if it's okay, I'm gonna reach out to your peoples. I just want to do things the correct way and see if we can make that happen. Even if we come up on August the 7th, where if you're interested to being in the documentary, as we talk about that, we can also, Mr. Rufus, you think we can relate even good health and wealth, like she was saying, with anxiety? Because a lot of us brothers and sisters. Okay, because a lot of us, because we're not eating right in our diet, it is making some of us more, unbalanced with, like she's saying, with anxiety, paranoia, heart palpitations, breathing palpitations, and that goes the part of, if you look at it in our community, a lot of us that are doing these crimes and stuff, we're also unhealthy, and we just don't, we can't recognize it or identify it, because they say high blood pressure is a silent killer. You could really be suffering from that and thinking that you're aggressive, but really your body is just out of function and it's giving you those misinterpretations of something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Miss Kellie Bowman, one last thing before I let you go, and then I'm gonna give you your flowers while you're here. I really appreciate you. The name of the show is called My Celebrity Life. I'm Ge Holla, and that's Rufus. If you could just give us a drop before you go. So basically you would say I'm Kellie Bowman. My social media is this, my shop is this. You're now watching My Celebrity Life with Ge Holla and Rufus, and then we'll be out.
I'll probably need 2 takes.
That's okay. I'm an editor. I will fix it for you. So what we'll start off by saying, I'm on My Celebrity Life with Ge Holla and Rufus, and then I'll have you add in your social media. That way I'll put it in. I'll organize it for you.
Start off by saying, hi, my name is Kellie Bowman, and I'm on My Celebrity Life with Ge Holla and Rufus.
You got it right. You ain't got to do that no more. You knocked it out. We're going to use that.
She an actress. She a born actress.
She is amazing. So please give us your social media, your website, and also the day that you're opening up your event again, because I'm going to make that into its own separate clip to just promote on social media. And the address, please.
Okay, you can reach me at sabysdaughters.com, Instagram, Saby's Daughters LLC, for Twitter, at Saby's Daughters, and Facebook as well. And the address to our store is 675 Metropolitan Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310, Suite 4008.
Thank you so much. Let me give you your flowers, and I won't hold you too much longer. Kellie Bowman, thank you for not only having the courage to be who you are and standing in the gap, so to speak, but also coming to this conscious realm of reality that we call life. Even Josh says in the Bible, it says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So therefore, that leads me to decide that the choice to go through this battle that we're suffering right now was a personal choice. You came to reincarnate back onto this earth to ensure that there will be some light, some understanding, some wisdom, some love, some attention, some affection back towards Mother Earth, because we know, like you know, she is suffering in a chaotic state as man is doing whatever they can, it seems like intentionally, to destroy the same planet that we live on, that we eat from, that we survive and find comfort. It is people like you. You are the great souls that's in this planet to put your life on the line to ensure that the everyday man understands you don't have to be in sickness. You don't have to suffer from disease. You don't have to have anxiety and fear and paranoia and side effects and all these things that come from eating a bad diet and having a bad health. You are the true living example of what the Christ consciousness energy is on the planet. And as all the days that you live, we're going to honor you too, just like you honor your father and the world honors your father. You are that next coming light to hold up. Stay upon your square all the days of your life, and please keep shining and smiling and being who you are, because your energy in itself can be felt around the world, and you're healing people too, and you just don't know it yet. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Mr. Rufus, thank you for joining me today, my brother. I appreciate it. You know, get to that rainforest.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get up there. Boy, for real, she got me excited. It was a pleasure to meet you, Miss Bowman.
My pleasure.
Make it up there. I'm gonna definitely make sure. You know, is Miss Kelly here? Tell her Rufus here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a blessed day, you guys.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you all. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Ge Holla and that's
Hey, Ge Holla, G. Holla.
Ge Holla, Charlamagne the God here, man. Salute to you.
What's up? It's your girl Cynthia Bailey from The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm sending a shout out to Ge Holla.
all y'all said entertainers. Shout out my guy Ge Holla of my Celebrity Life podcast on